Hey y'all, welcome back to Wise Tales. Today we are joined by the illustrious Daniel Acuña. He's the managing partner of the JM Valley Group, which owns and operates 24 Jersey Mike's locations in Southern California and South Florida. He's been recognized as a top gun, a top 25 operator, and a multi-unit top 30 franchisee. Was nominated for Franchisee of the Year in 2023 and served on the National Advisory Council for Jersey Mike's from 2020 to 2022. Additionally, like we need any additions to that, Daniel is a franchisee of Dave's Hot Chicken with one store open and 8-store development agreement in Broward County, Florida. JM Valley Group emphasizes a culture-first approach, focusing on leadership development, unit stability, and internal growth opportunities. Before entering franchising, Daniel held executive roles in entertainment marketing at Disney ABC Television Group, Fremantle, and Psycho, where he managed brand partnerships for shows including American Idol, America's Got Talent, and Shark Tank. Daniel is married to his high school sweetheart, Bethany, and they reside in Los Angeles with their 3 children. They're active members and leaders at Rocky Peak Church, contributing to their local community. I'm going to ask, was there anything we missed in that bio? Because
No, and
it is a
we should
long
cut it
and
down.
tenured story.
Yeah, and clearly I need to cut it down. So,
It's a nice
thank you.
elevator pitch. It's
Yeah,
just
there you go.
floors. Yeah.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
conversation that it feels like I've had for quite a few years with other leaders and other people, maybe, you know, current leaders today is around how much the expectations have changed for a lot of employees, and especially expectations around how they want to be led, how they like being led. It's different in a lot of ways in the way that we were maybe led by the generation before us. So I'm sure you've seen a ton of this in your experience since your first opening your first restaurant and working with some of the people that were kind of coming in at that point in time. But I was just kind of curious to pick your brain on how you sort of adapted to this, what your approach has been, especially when we start talking about the newer generation, like that Gen Z.
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, that's the $1 million question. That's what people kind of constantly ask. And for us, we started operating in 2013, and it's changed in the last 11 years from the employees we had then to the employees we have now. I call them team members. With this generation, what we've learned is the things that are most important to them is one, feeling desired and wanted. Like we want them to work with us. I want you to be in my store. I'm excited to have you on this team. And, we have an arduous interview process. We see a lot of applicants. And I think that is important and speaks volumes as well. They don't just do one interview and get the blue apron that day. They're going to interview with their general manager, their district manager, and oftentimes potentially a third person. But we're going to have a few different rounds of interviews. They're going to be on Zoom. They're definitely going to be in person. We're going to walk them around the store and show them the store and have them interact a little bit with some of the team members. And, we're a culture first organization. And so when we're offering them the job, we've explained to them, what the job entails and how we're a culture first organization and that they get it. They have to be a person that fits with that. And, we explain our culture, which is we want people who love people, both their coworkers and their customers, that, like to work hard, that find satisfaction in making food and kind of have a servant's heart. And you don't have to be an extrovert. You don't have to be an introvert, or an introvert. You just need to have those qualities. And so then when we offer them the job, we've made it clear that we think, you fit our culture and we're very proud of it. So we want you to be here. Secondly, after, letting them know that we want them on the team, it's important for them to continue to grow as people. So we try to make sure that we're providing them lots of opportunities and like life skills and coaching. And so, we want to develop the person. We don't just want to teach them, hey, here's how you make a sandwich, as quickly as possible. It's, hey, here's how you can be a great team member. Here's how you can work well on the team. Here's the opportunity to grow with us. If you can do X, Y, and Z, our expectations are laid out clearly and in writing. Here's how you get promoted. Here's how you can become bonus eligible. We have a core 4 in each store. So our shift leads, our assistant managers, and our managers, they're all bonus eligible and they take on management responsibilities. We're really big on building our bench. We talk about our core values. And one of our core values is, adaptability and ability willingness to change because, there's always new laws coming out in California, new procedures. And just because we do something this way doesn't mean that next year we'll be doing it that way. We're at Jersey Mike's, we're doing new limited time offer sandwiches now, pastrami, et cetera. And I think, we take them through things like, we take them through book clubs, Enneagram. We do budget planning, life planning. We do manager retreats. And I think as long as they continue to develop as a person, one, they feel wanted. And then when, of course, we have competitive pay, then I think they feel that's how you really get in with Gen Z. And so obviously the competitive pay is kind of a no brainer, but, they can make the same amount of money at another restaurant, or managers can make the same amount of money in another industry in that same position. But if you're checking those other two boxes, then they really enjoy being with you, and they stay.
So I'm really curious. You talk a little bit about that retention piece, right? They stay with you. But we also know the restaurant industry has a notoriously high turnover, right? There's just a lot of churn, especially in those younger people, oftentimes first jobs or part-time jobs as they're finishing school, things like that. Do you see sort of how you approach leadership development as not only retention, but just an opportunity to benefit the people you work with?
Yeah, absolutely. We're a faith-based organization as well, just my wife and my company, JM Valley Group. And so we see our business as ministry. And, not every Jersey Mike's franchisee is faith-based, of course. So, that's our view on it. But either way, Jersey Mike's has taught us. I'm very thankful that that's the organization that we started with in franchising. And they taught us from the get-go. The Jersey Mike's primary slogan is give to give. And our founder, Peter Cankro, he lives that and he exemplifies it. And he shows that to us franchisees and managers and everybody. He's the most generous man with his time, money, and efforts. And so it's something that we've learned. And so to your point, when I first became a franchisee, I honestly just was doing it to make some money and to be my own boss. And I thought, hey, I was working in entertainment, and I thought if I can open up a few stores, maybe I can retire early. Maybe I can retire at 55 or 60 instead of 65. And then just fell in love with Jersey Mike's and fell in love with the business, and then learned that it was so much more, that for us, it checked all the boxes. It's a business that I own on my own, which is a goal that I always had since I was a kid. It's food, which I love. It's sandwiches, I've always been a big sandwich eater. But to your point, there's just so much satisfaction in what we do. I'm proud to wear the logo, and I'm proud to go to my stores. I love my team members. And absolutely, beyond just retention, you get the retention, and that's a nice after pack. But at the same time, this generation, it may be all generations, but this generation as well, that definitely knows if you're full of it and knows if you're just trying to get something out of them. So we do hear our team members often tell us that it's the best organization they've ever worked for, that Jersey Mike's is special. Team members really know that there's something special in the juice, and Jersey Mike's does a good job of finding franchisees who are willing to do all of that, because that's really what we stand for. So yeah, I think you're spot on in how fulfilling it is to do that. And obviously, the older I get, they feel like my kids. I have a 23-year-old. And so that's probably the average age of my team members. So I definitely we feel a good sense. And a lot of them, a lot of them are college graduates as well, but a lot of them are not. A lot of them haven't gone to college. A lot of them or are in college, and then they're maybe the first of their generation to go to college, first in their family member to go to college. They don't have a lot of, you'd be surprised. A lot of them don't know how to sweep. They were never taught, right? So, you're teaching them like simple life skills. You're teaching them to make food. And we explain to them, like, these are great skills you're going to take wherever you go. We want to make sure that no matter what, when they leave us, they're going to succeed, for the rest of their life. And they're going to be, it's too much for us we want to make sure when they leave us that they're going to succeed in their next role, and that they're going to leave us a better person and team member than they were before, and that they're going to work well in another organization. They're going to learn about teamwork. They're going to learn about working hard, and yeah, that's kind of my answer.
And it sounds like with the Enneagram and some of those book club activities that you mentioned earlier, not only are they going to be great team members in whatever they decide to do or stay with Jersey Mike's, but also they know more about themselves, right? And so we've heard a lot about bring your whole person to work. And I think that came about oftentimes because the move to hybrid work or remote work environments. You're in an industry that is notoriously bricks and mortar, right?
Yep.
But you still have to recognize that the whole person comes to the store every single day.
Yeah. And they don't teach, leadership in high school or college. At least they didn't when I was there. You have to, now at least there are podcasts and tons of opportunity for people to learn. But we're teaching them things that it's very rewarding when they get that aha moment and they learn more about themselves. They, things that they never knew. Like we took the whole manager team last year through Atomic Habits. James Clear, amazing book. And to see like serious life changes that a lot of them made, like we didn't think it was going to have that much of an impact, but saw guys lose a lot of weight, beat alcohol problems, wake up earlier with the Atomic Habits, the stuff that it teaches. Another one that we really love is DISC, the communication platform. And same thing, a big light bulb goes off when you explain to them, hey, when you're talking to somebody, whether it's your coworker or somebody that reports to you, they might have they probably have a different communication style than you, according to DISC, DIS, or C. And so you can't meet them with yours. And if you're a manager and you have 21 employees, they're going to have one of the four. You're going to have all four of the spectrums on your team. So you need to approach each of them in a different way. It makes them communicate better with their families, with their kids, kind of everywhere. So it's awesome to see them develop, and you see real confidence come in them. They start to understand not only how to function better on the team, but they really learn way more about themselves. Their confidence grows, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I think that I love what you had to say about the more of the personal development, and that kind of seems to be like the big focus. And I think that also lends itself well to think some of the best leaders are people that have a good sense of self, a good understanding. And so I did want to just take time, and we kind of discussed this a little bit, but I want to take it a little bit of a step forward and talk about why the leadership development specifically is important as well.
Well, the leadership development is important because, as a multi-unit company that we are, Bethany and I can't be in every store. We had one store we were in every day. We were the leaders, and then you go to 2 stores, to 5 stores, to 10 stores, and you start to grow. There's a little bit of that 80-20 rule. We have to spend, the top 80% of your time on the top 20%, but it's because it cascades down to the rest of the organization. So, if we're not in our stores every day, it's important that the leaders in our stores are a reflection of us, that they have the same values. We share our core values, that they are implementing the game plan that we put together as far as systems and culture go. I think that's one of my favorite sayings as far as multi-unit management. It's all about, if you want to have a lot of restaurants or multiple units, it's systems and culture. So when you walk in every single store, they got to have the same systems, right? Everybody's got to be using the same checklists, the same procedures. This manager can't be doing something one way and another manager be doing something another way, because then, nothing's in order. And so after the systems comes the culture. Like, it's got to breed what the owners are bestowing on the company. And that starts with Jersey Mike's, they set the table. But leadership development, if we're not doing that, and if we're not helping these, all of our managers almost all of our managers have been grown from within. They came to us as minimum wage employees who, got the blue apron because they fit our culture and they started making sandwiches. And, we always make sure that we're looking for talent, because we're a company of growth. Our managers are required to have a core 4. They have to have an assistant manager and 2 shift leads. They have to be delegating duties. They have to be delegating inventory and ordering and schedule making and those types of things, because we can't have a one-man show. What happens then if the manager is sick or is out or leaves? Then, the whole store is in disarray. So to develop leaders, and they need to understand all of that, right? You can't just tell them, like, hey, we go back to Gen Z. I used to play football, and coach told you to do something, you just did it, right? You didn't ask. If you asked a question, it was, let's take a lap. So that doesn't work. Actually, when we first started in 2013, 2014, I came in, to be honest, with that kind of, coaching style, because it's what I was used to. But you need to explain things to them. So being honestly, this journey has made me a far better parent, a better person. I wish I would have started it sooner. And so I think they're getting a head start on life here with that. But if you don't take the time to do the leadership development, besides the fact that you're doing something great, that you're helping people, your business will severely suffer. So when you hear restaurants, during COVID that they can't staff, we have to close because we don't have enough staff. Dude, we were fine. We thrived in COVID. We were overstaffed. That's a culture problem. Well, people don't want to work for you because for a lot of different reasons. But yeah, that'd be my answer.
So that's really interesting that you say systems, and if correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard you say systems first and then the culture follows. Um, what types of systems have you found to be sort of the most beneficial in either accelerating that culture development, or is
Yeah.
it just a timing thing that it takes um, a period of time that you can't accelerate?
Yeah, that's a good question. To clarify, I would say it's both. I would say it's systems and culture. I wouldn't say systems are more important. Um, I think it's the two combination. That's a 50-50. So the system, I think it's important when you start with systems, you just start with scheduling as far as like Monday reporting. Everybody does their review of the previous week's success on Monday mornings. How did we do? Let's count our inventory. What did we hit our labor goals? Did we hit our food goals? Let's get our ordering done for the week, planning out, right? And that's a business best practice in general. You hear a lot of business guys say Monday, plan your week, score your week before and plan your week. Thursdays schedules are due to the district managers. By Thursday, they got to have that done. Fridays, the district managers post the schedule. If it seems like it's not that big of a deal. Something came up and I'm gonna have my schedule in on Friday, or I like to do mine on Saturdays because yeah, I mean, it matters. It really does. People need consistency. And so we owe it to our team members to walk into work, clock in, and know exactly what is expected of them. They do much better. They thrive when there's clear expectations. So beyond that scheduling, then it goes on to training systems, right? And so we have, our training modules. I think you need to have electronic training modules. We're lucky that Jersey Mike's has a proprietary one that they use, with videos, and you need a training schedule and regiment. And then other systems that we like is, digital checklists, so there's like Jolt and there's Zenput that are great digital checklist systems. You would require a picture. If one of your closers is struggling with a clean soda fountain at the end of the night, you can require that photo specifically, on those platforms. Engagement with employees. And so you need a great communication tool. So there's good ones like Homebase is our favorite. Carrie is very good as well. Then you need a really good reporting system because, now me sitting here at the office, I need to know if something's going wrong in a store. So we use a company called Vantage Points that they can pull from every single partner we have via, the APIs. And I can see in real time all of my stores, labor, food costs. I can see if cheese is over at this store and straws is over at this store. And I don't need to wait for my monthly P&L. I can see it on a Wednesday if I want to. What other systems do we use? Leadership development systems. Every manager has to go through the First Time Manager book and then the Power of Positive Leadership by John Gordon. And then they go through 21 Laws of Leadership and the other tests that we described and rotating through there. We have a few other digital partners as well that we use, HR and onboarding. It's really important. We're with Restaurant HR Group. There's a lot of good ones like that. Again, I think you owe it to the employee to not just be winging things and to not be, and to give them consistency. I mean, all kids do better with that the same way, your kids do too. They got to know what's expected of them. They need good tools that they'd like to use. They like digital tools. The old paper checklists don't really resonate with them well anymore. And they can rate their shifts. They can attest to their breaks. You need a good timekeeping system, especially here in California, to make sure that you're compliant. And
And so it sounds like, and going back to one of the core values you talked about a little bit earlier around that adaptability, and also tying it back to that 80-20 rule, right? If you can have systems account for sort of that 80%, that 20% really allows you to be adaptable and flexible and you maintain order when chaos sort of ensues, because we know it does.
100%.
So I'm curious. So we have the electronic systems, and in some cases you can get a lot of content out. I mean, granted, your franchise locations are kind of they're spread out a little bit, right? So
we go from Santa Barbara down to Burbank.
Okay,
and then of course, and then South Florida.
Oh, yep. So a little bit apart from each other. What has been your philosophy, especially on going back to the leadership development side? Are you doing that through electronic means? Is there a hybrid approach that you're taking in terms of maybe some in-person sessions, or it feels to me like this is more developed within your purview rather than being something that's coming down from or being provided through the franchise?
Yeah, definitely. We used to be able to do them all in person with everybody, and then as we grew, we'll do some on Zoom. But my wife, who's my operating partner, and I'm the visionary, she's the integrator. She loves everything in person. I'm a super Zoom guy, but this is her department. I got to give her all the credit. She's developed all of this and leads all of this. And so we do it by region now. So we'll have we have our district managers, and they've been with us long enough and gone through these long enough, and some of them even have certifications that they can lead it. So we're still a part of it. And Bethany still leads it with our leadership team. But so it's a combination, but it's mostly in person. And we've developed the same thing, kind of in book club style questionnaires, right? So you go through, 2 chapters, you meet every other week and you discuss 2 chapters, and there's homework questions at a reflection. We meet for an hour. They get paid for their time. They get paid for their time when they're reading the book. They get paid for their time at the meeting, and we go around, in a circle round robin and answer questions and have discussion. It's another great way for the team to get to know each other, for them to share open and honestly. It provides a level of vulnerability, which, ties any team much closer to each other. And again, it just makes them better leaders. But yeah, it's primarily in person and developed by us. And I think, again, like when we did Atomic Habits, that was just, hey, let's do something new. We haven't done a new book in a while. Let's do that. And anytime new stuff comes out, we'll test it out with our leadership team first, and then we'll roll it out. Like something I'm really excited about right now is Primal Questions by Mike Foster. It's a new book. And so everybody has one of 7 primal questions. And so I did it. And mine, like probably a lot of entrepreneurs, is, am I successful? And so you develop your primal question during your life. And so what one naturally tends to do is whatever they can to get the answer back to a yes. And so if they get a no, they're in a scramble mode, and they need to do whatever they can to get that answer back to a yes. And so when you recognize that what your primal question is, can also become your superpower. And then the way it really relates with the team is, it's important, just like this, to know what is your primal question. So like Ryan, if I was managing you, I would need to know, I could get some real currency with you. If I understood what your primal question was, I recognize that, I give you a yes to that. And then it would show you that I understand you could trust me more. And again, it's not like a tool to use your team. I mean, it's personal relationships.
And going back to the very top of this conversation, right? It's about knowing your team members. It is about knowing what intrinsically drives them every single day. I do have a quick question for you. So not every organization, and a lot of our listeners are franchise organizations, our franchisees are looking to grow and scale. Not everyone has a Bethany, though. I'm really curious. And my guess is you didn't start out with this entire robust system either.
Yeah. No.
How do you go about sort of incorporating this organic delivery of materials and leadership development? And what would you recommend for maybe a single unit operator to start with?
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, I mean, I have the simplest answer ever, which is just, you gotta knock on doors, and you gotta ask people who are doing it right, who have been doing it longer than you, and be a mentor collector. I've naturally been a mentor collector my entire life, and it's the greatest thing it's been the greatest part of my personal success. So I think, Bethany, a lot of that was intuitive for sure. And, she had done book clubs on her own and saw personal benefits with it. And so the first time she was like, hey, I'm going to do a book club with a couple of our managers. This was, years ago. And she saw how well that did with them. And she knew it would, because it had an impact on her life. And so it impacted them. And so then we started implementing it into our culture. As far as all the other stuff goes, and we're not the only ones who do book clubs. There's a few others, but there's a couple guys in New York, John Helm and Matt Catania. They've won Franchisee of the Year, not just been nominated. And they have like 45 Jersey Mikes, and they've been doing it longer. And like, I bug those guys all the time. I feel bad. I'm like, I need to send you guys a Christmas gift, but they've been my mentors forever. And I have a lot of those mentors. And so knock on doors, find successful multi-unit franchisees, or, whatever field you're in, people who not only are doing it right and successful and are winning awards, but who are people that you respect and you want to be like, right? So I respect the heck out of those guys. So, hit me up on my LinkedIn, email me, and I can refer you to other people. I have a ton of mentors, and you just got to go and ask people. And the thing I've noticed too about all the mentors that I have, and so, is that they were asking questions as well, right? So it keeps cascading down. And then when you've been lucky enough to experience success and had good mentors, you feel an obligation to pay it forward and to spend some time with people. So people are really happy to share, information with you, especially if you're persistent, you follow up, you send follow-up emails, you give them a call, you tell them, hey, can I come to you? I'll bring you coffee. Can I fly out and spend a day with you in your stores? Whatever. So we've done that for a long time. I would say, I say we're the biggest plagiarizers in Jersey Mike's, because we've spent so much time with other franchisees. And, Peter does a good job of getting us, our founder, he gets us all together. We just had a multi-unit meeting in Dana Point. He takes us all to the Ritz-Carlton. He pays for everything, and there's roundtable sessions. And so I used to be the guy at those meetings years ago who was just grabbing phone numbers and writing as much down as I could. And I still obviously have a lot to learn, but been in it a long time now. And I'm the one who, there's the other newer franchisees, they only have 1 or 2 stores and they're asking for my phone number and we're giving them tips and tools. So yeah, that's what you got to do.
So 2 things. We've had quite a few podcast episodes at this point, and this is the first time I've heard mentor collector, and I'm going to squirrel that one away because I think that's fantastic. Also, stand on the shoulders of giants, right? And I think we under leverage our network, we under leverage our network's network, and it's a huge spider web, right? And we all just hopefully build on the successes that other people have experienced, and just everyone can learn from everyone. And I think that's a great mantra. And thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it's unwise not to. I mean, why would you want to go and reinvent the wheel on something that somebody's already doing better than you, unless you're an extreme creative. And honestly, running a business, especially the franchise model, it's the antithesis of being creative, right? You're buying into a franchise to run a playbook that works. It's a proven model.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I like that, because there isn't one book or one experience that's going to give you all the leadership advice you need for the rest of your life. Believe me, I've looked.
Right.
I've looked through Amazon.
Yeah. Multi-unit management by Jim Sullivan might be the closest to it as far as multi-unit operations goes. But yeah.
Right. Did you have anything else that you wanted to, the last bit of that conversation took like the last 2 points that I had, and it was excellent. And I wrote down a bunch of stuff I was hoping that I had follow-up questions for, but now I'm still stuck on mentor collector as well. So,
good.
So I do. So this has been a really, really great conversation for sure. I do have one question.
Yeah.
When we think about Gen Z, and you talked about we don't get taught, and quite honestly, I mean, I'm a solid Gen Xer, right? And we weren't taught this in Gen X either. We think a lot about managing down, right? We think about leadership development and managing teams, direct reports, managing, leading through influence, things like that. One thing we don't talk a lot about is managing up. And I think in organizations that can be a huge miss, because we need to give team members and managers, quite honestly, the opportunity to flex that muscle a little bit.
Yeah.
What do you all do given your very robust sort of leadership focus? How do you coach into that?
It's a really good question. And that's something, honestly, that we were focusing on more these last couple of years. I definitely realized that was something that was a little bit of maybe potentially a bit of a gap for us at some point. It's just something that we could have focused on more. I love that you highlighted that. It's really important, right? Because we said if they come in and some of them don't know how to sweep, they definitely don't know how to manage up, right? And they're used to dealing with their parent, this or that. So, I mean, honestly, another one of our core values, we only have a few, is being coachable. So you have to find coachable kids. And if they come in and they're a sponge and they are willing to learn, then they learn how to manage up fairly quickly. I think it goes back to systems, having clear expectations. Our orientation process is long. You don't just get thrown in on your day one and say good luck. Like, the manager spends the week with you. We have a training packet that is line item by line item, each position. And included in the training packet is all of that stuff. We go over the core values. We explain why it's important to be on time. Why is it important to work quickly? How are you a part of a team, and what does that mean? What is your role on this team? So I think it's a lot of explanation, and never assuming that anybody knows anything. And when they do that, they start to fit into a team. They start to manage up well. We have a lot of shift leads. The manager is obviously not in the store at all times. The manager, of the 14 busiest rushes, lunch and dinner, they might be in the store for 7 of them. So that means there's another 7 rushes that there's no manager in the store. So these team members also need, know that on any given day, they're reporting to one of potentially 4 people, the manager, the assistant manager, or one of the shift leads. So they need to be adaptable. And so, it really starts with finding kids who have a good attitude and are coachable, and they are out there. They are everywhere. Gen Z kids, they're great. They're loved. So as long as you show them respect and you get what you give, then they learn how to manage up. And I think, with the managers and they report to their district managers, I think it's really important to empower your leaders, right? So after you develop so much into your leaders, it's to empower them and to not micromanage, right? So if a manager has a question for me, it might, if they're a newer manager, it might take some training. They call me like, hey, let's talk to you, let's catch up on, that's a question for your district manager. So go ahead and reach out to David, talk to him. I'm sure he can solve this for you. And then I might give David a heads up. Hey, so-and-so reached out to me. I told him to reach out to you. Let me know how it goes. Or let me know if you have any questions. But honestly, at this point, David, for example, knows how to handle that better than I do and can teach me more about that. So, yeah.
So it sounds like part of the prerequisite to having this capability to coach into managing up is really having that trust built, right? And that goes back to that culture first mentality and organizational ethos.
Yeah. 21 Laws of Leadership. It's my personal favorite leadership book. The law of buy-in, right? You have to get them to buy in. So, and again, it starts with the interview process. How much respect is the team member going to have if they come in with an application and say, hey, are you guys hiring? Actually, we are. Yeah. Can I see that? Yeah. Can you start tonight? Actually, I need to fill a shift tonight. They're already not taking the job seriously, right? And so, we have our stability charts and we want to be overstaffed by 2 at all times, just in case somebody needs to leave either way because they need to quit or we need to promote them to being a customer. You never want to be behind the 8 ball. If you're not overstaffed by 2, you're understaffed. And so it starts from the jump and just continues on.
Sort of like the old, if you're not early or late sort of thing.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. Exactly.
So we do like to end every one of these conversations by asking a little bit of a personal question. And hopefully this is a little fun. So if you could design your own custom bumper sticker, what would it say and why?
That's a good one. Well, maybe I should have it say mentor collector now, since that phrase resonated so well today. And honestly, that's been the biggest key to my success. It really has been. I didn't go to school for business. I wanted to. The degree took too long, though. There was a waiting list for classes. It was a 6-year degree at my school, so I did communication studies. I just wanted to get out of it quickly. So I've just been a sponge my whole life. So I would say mentor collector. If it was something different, it would be, if it wasn't work related, it would probably be rad dad, because I'm trying to be, that's always my goal. So not that I've arrived in that regard, but being a dad's probably my favorite thing. And my younger 2 kids are 11 and 9. And so it's awesome that I am a franchisee. I get to make my own hours. So I wake up early, part of the 5 a.m. club, but then I can wrap up by 3 o'clock on days that there's practices and games. I can go coach. And so I, because I had my 23-year-old when I was younger and I was working in entertainment, I missed all of his sporting events because I was punching the clock. Which was great. But I missed him. So this time around, I'm not missing anything. So I'm always trying to be the rad dad. And it's a good, I have it as a sticker on my little journal. And it's a good reminder as I wake up and if I'm not in a bad mood or if the kids aren't being great, like, hey, what's my goal? What's my purpose here? So mentor collector or rad dad.
So it sounds like both of those really align with what you have tried to embody within your organization, within all of your multiple stores across the U.S. for sure. Highlighting that necessity of creating those goals, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that is such a compelling story. Daniel, it was really, really great to be able to talk with you today and truly appreciate your willingness to speak with us. And I think I, for one, learned a lot. Not only do I have a lot of books to read at this point, but I have to really hone my mentor collector skills.
All right. Good. It was such a pleasure too. I definitely need to cut down my bio. Thank you for teaching me that by having to sit there and listen to that essay. But it was awesome. Obviously, as you can tell, I'm really passionate about what we do and about Jersey Mike's, and I could talk leadership and talk this stuff all day long. So thank you so much for having me on and thinking of me, and it was a blast.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Daniel.